All right, Soul Talk with Sandy M. That's me, and I have my hibiscus tea. And I just came on because I sent I reposted or resent a post to some friends right here because just kind of confirming that the divine is always talking to us, man. The moment that humanity asks to see and hear from the divine, from the Almighty God, the divine has always said, okay, I'm here. I'm talking to you. In every communicative field that we have ever created, including, as I'm always saying, including music and movies and TV and cartoons and just everything, books and workshops and yes, even church, synagogues and everywhere. The divine is talking to us everywhere. So it was in I don't know if it was I believe it was the first Doctor Strange, right? And he's having the conversation with I can't remember her name, the female guru. You could tell me what her character name was, but he is now at the center, and he asked her, did you heal someone? And gives the name of the person, and she said yes. And then he says, well, how did you do that from the seventh and eighth vertebrae? How did you heal that? And she said, well, I didn't heal him. I told him that his body could do it, could heal himself. And his body healed him. And so Dr. Strange, with all his wisdom and everything, all his schooling, and he's the best doctor there is, I said, well, you're gonna have to expound a little. And those are not the exact words. Go watch the movie if you want exact words. I'm filling in. And so she shows him the book of that shows chakras, and then she shows him another book that shows pressure points and acupuncture, and another book, right? And he says, well, I don't believe in all that, I don't believe in chakras, and I don't believe in this, and I don't believe that, even though she was proving the points that the body can heal itself, that the body has cells, and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, the divine is talking to us. How can we not know that? The divine is revealing itself in every moment of our existence. Whether we call those moments days, weeks, years, we put a title to it. The divine says it's just a moment, and then another moment, and then another moment. Let me take a sip of my tea. But I was watching that, and when he was at his moment, his highest moment, talking about and basically I was thinking how us as human beings we think we're on the top of the fucking food chain. And he went to grab her, and she took him and pushed against his whole being, and his soul and his body separated. But he was aware, because when they reunited with each other, he was very aware of what happened. What did you just do to me? Right? He was very aware of what happened. That's what sometimes we have those moments. It doesn't mean that we have to be taken to our lowest point. We as spiritual people are always telling people that once you get to your lowest point, that's when you're going to listen. or even in religiosity. When you're at your lowest point, then you'll listen. Then you'll hear God. Then you'll want God. It doesn't have to be at a lowest point. It can just be at a point where you are silent enough from within to just listen. And everybody's low point is different from everybody else's, and we need to stop comparing ourselves. I learned that. I really have learned that I can't compare my trauma to someone else's, my lowest point to someone else's, and then go, oh, I haven't been low enough, then how did this happen to me? We are human beings comparing each other, ourselves, or telling somebody who they are or who they're not. And we're doing it now. Before, we were complaining that it was being done from religiosity and how unfair that was and how mind controlling that was. And now we move into beginning to have a relationship with the divine, calling it spirituality, and we do the same thing. Right? Well, divine says, listen to me. You've been asking to listen to me. Now you're telling me, now you're telling everybody that the TV is boob tube, or this isn't that, or you need to get rid of your TV because you're being mind controlled. Well, what about me? The divine says, how do I communicate with you? If you won't believe that I'm communicating with you and talking with you and having a conversation, because now you believe that if you're hearing thoughts in your head, that you're crazy. So how is the divine supposed to talk to you? Really? How is the divine supposed to have a conversation with you? Really? I just went, oh. And for that to just really resonate with me, that the divine is constantly having a conversation with us. But now the TVs and the radios and all the methods of communication that we created to have enjoyment, now somebody gets to tell you, and think about it, why they told you, why all of a sudden they told you that it's the boob tube. Because they figured out that the divine is moving through that. The divine isn't counteracting anything. The divine is just acting, answering the call. Not even acting. Answering your call. Giving you some information and answering your call. Ever since you were a kid, ever since you were born into this illusion or matrix or awareness or whatever you want to call it, the divine has had infinite possibilities of talking to you. The most direct was while you were in the womb. The most direct was while you were a baby, and all that conversation that babies have, we call that gibberish. Goo goo and gaga. No, that was the very first light language you ever had coming that wasn't hindered by anything. You had conversations going on with the divine. Maybe mommy and daddy didn't understand it. Maybe they thought it was cute. But you had conversations going on with all the higher beings that surrounded you, all your ancients that walk before you and walk after you, all your guardian, what we might call angels or guardian higher beings that came to serve us. Always, the divine has always been talking to us. I mean, whoa. And now, I remember I was talking to another soul brother from another mother, a lot younger than I am, and he was talking about how he would listen to the conversations of, I think the cartoon was, I think it was called Ghost something. Right? It was a cartoon. And I remember somebody else saying it too, Space Ghost. how the conversation, oh, that conversation was way over kids' heads. What were they thinking? They were, the whoever the writer was or on the script was channeling. Did they know if they were channeling or not? No, maybe not. But did they ask for a creative flow from the divine, and the divine gave them creative flow? Heck yeah. Because the divine is going to say, your wish is my command. You want creative flow? Here's some creative flow. Or maybe they were channeling. Maybe they were channeling to children who were awakened or awakening. And the adults, I guarantee you, there were adults sitting down watching those cartoons with their kids. I did. I grew up with my kids. Even into their 20s and 30s. Why? Because in my 20s, I was having kids. That was my choice, not anybody else's. I got married at 21, 20, and by 21, I had my first kid, and then by 23 or 24, I had my second one, and by 27, my third one. Or the ages that my age might be a little bit off, but so my 20s and my 30s, I was growing up with my kids, and I was enjoying every moment of it. I just didn't know that that's what I was doing at that point, but definitely, and some of the dialogue, I would go, ooh, I got that. My kids would just think that the cartoon was cute or funny or whatnot. Then by the time they were, in their teens, they would actually have a discussion about a cartoon or something, and go, Mom, I finally got that. I didn't get that when I was 7, but I got it now. Do you remember that cartoon? That was deep, right? And now that, especially with Star Trek, right? Star Trek, I was, hey, young teens and 20s, and me and my kids, we were sitting there watching Star Trek. I'm just telling you, even then. Now, now some of the stuff, you go, oh, well, they're doing this and they're manipulating you and they're trying to brainwash you. Maybe some of it is. You can't have all polarity up and not have any polarity down. Contrast is a part of you choosing. You get to choose which polarity you want to flow in, and sometimes you have a mix of it. The divine created both polarities simply so it could have an experience. No right or wrong to it, no judgment to it, just an experience. We're the ones that made up the story. We're the ones that get to change the story. There's infinite possibilities and infinite ways of changing the story. Just because you hear it from one person doesn't mean that that's the only way to go. And then you get to argue a point. But here and that, arguing is even a contrast that you get to learn from, that you get to choose from. Right? I'm just telling you, when I watched that clip of Doctor Strange and that conversation, these are conversations that we're having now. And in the movie, in that clip that I actually watched. Now, I've watched Doctor Strange a couple of times, but when I was watching that clip, when it was focusing on just the clip and not the movie, I felt the vibration when she pushed him back and pushed so hard against him that his soul separated. I felt it. And I said, I want to shift like that. Or I've been feeling myself shift like that at some point. You get to decide how you want to express in your lifetime now. Whenever it is you wake up, whether it's 8 or 80, and you have an awakening moment where you want to live a little bit differently, a little bit more expansive, that's your choice. You get to choose your polarities. And if you choose both, then that's contrast. You're taking you're dipping your as my grandmother would say, you're dipping your toe in different temperatures of water, deciding where you want to create from. Then when you create whatever you create and use whatever you create, then that creation eventually goes back to form or formless, and then you create something else. Because that's all you're doing is creating form with the energy that you have. And I know sometimes I give it very simple. I don't give a lot of 1, 2, 3s and whatnot. That will come in my workshop, You Embodying You. And another workshop that I'm working on as well. But even that, it doesn't have to be so intense that you can't just flow. Sometimes, some people say, well, what about the flow? I want to know what I'm flowing in. Well, you decide what you're flowing in. You have all those polarities and infinite possibilities flowing around you. What makes you feel good? That's why you have feelings. How is your body adjusting to what you're feeling? That's called emotions. If it don't feel good for you, then you try and test something else. Most of the time when we go shopping, women, men, we try on our clothes to see how they fit. And if we're too busy, then we make sure that if we don't try them on, we always ask, and I guarantee you every one of you have done that, what's the return policy? Because you're going to try it on at home, not take the tag off, and if it does not fit, you go back, you return it, or even exchange it to find something that does fit you. That's what thoughts are. That's why they're moving. That's why you are not your thought. That's why you have power over your thought, because you can move it along. That's what power is. That's what energy is. That's what this is. Move along. And then when you find one that fits you and you try it on and it fits so good. Oh, yes. Yes. It fits. It fits so good. You can create from it. Based on your thought pattern, not your thought, based on how your feelings and your emotions, based on your intention of what you want to fit you and what you want to do with the fit. And here's the key thing. Don't look for the outcome. enjoy the moment of how it fits you and what you're creating from it. Live that process. Then when that process is over, with all the unconditional love, let it go. Why? Because you get to create something more, something different, something unique to you. That's really the essence of living life, to me. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. You don't have to do it based on me. Because I'm the only Sandy M there is. Me. You don't have to be me. You just have to go find the authentic you and be that. Now, if you do some of the things that I do, good. If you try some of the things that I've tried and they fit you, then go create with that. Right? There is always going to be infinite possibilities for everyone to create. And it's kind of like, I see it as this. My grandmother, she never wrote her recipes down. She just cooked. A pinch of this, a pinch of that. My mother was also in the kitchen with her. You know, that's how they grew up. That's how I grew up too. Finally, when I really started to think about it, because my mother didn't write down stuff either. And I was very blessed to like kind of come to the conclusion, ooh, I better, you know, be in the kitchen when it was cooking time, be in the kitchen. And for me, I had to write stuff down. And kind of go and watch her when she did a pinch of this and go, okay, she did a pinch of this, so that might equal about a half a teaspoon of this or something. I could do a pinch of this and a pinch of that when I was cooking, but I had to be more precise when I was baking, because baking wasn't my my strong suit. Hi, Crystal. How's everything going? So the same thing with my mom, with my grandmother. Right? And then my mom would put a twist of hers and make it her own. She would make the same type of green. She would start with the same base of collard greens. And then towards the end, she would put in a pinch of this that made it hers. And we would always be able to tell, while my mother and my grandmother were alive, the difference between the two. And then when I started to do that, when I actually got the taste for collard greens, wanting to, I call it taste, wanting to do them on my own, I had what my grandmother did, what my mom did, and her little whatever, I could taste whatever it was that she added to it to make it her own, and then I would add mine. That made it mine. Right? So that's what we're learning now. When you go to a workshop or a seminar, or you go and you listen to Michael Beckwith or Michael Singer, or when you go and you listen to Abraham Hicks or Wilhelm or Bashar or whatnot, they're giving you a outline. And then you take that outline, or you take that guide, and you start to create with it a you. That's why I said A, capital A, you, Y-O-U. You create a you. You're the only you there is. You get to be intrinsically whoever you want to be, whoever you want your character to be, whoever you want to express. And here's the kicker. Everybody is expressing. Everybody is expressing. I'll say it again. Everyone is expressing. Republicans are expressing. Democrats are expressing. Libertarians are expressing. Everyone is expressing. Religious people are expressing. Religious cults are expressing. Doctors are expressing. Pharmaceutical companies are expressing. These are people. These are higher beings that made choices to come in and express in this duality, in this third density. You get to express a like or a dislike. But at the same time, there are other people that get to express their like and dislike. Everybody's expressing. I mean, everybody's expressing. Yeah. And the thing is, when you're asking God to show you something, for me, it's like sometimes it happens when I'm just sitting quiet and I'm actually watching a lot. I watch a lot of sci-fi. I watch a lot of action and adventure with that includes sci-fi or scientific kind of stuff in it. And I keep a notepad and pencil next to me, because it could be in the whole movie. It could be a scene where there's just one comment, and I'll go, "Ooh, that's for me," and I'll write it down. And in this scene in the Doctor Strange, she was saying to him, "You've been looking through a keyhole, looking for more." And every time, and then the divine gave it to me after that. We've been looking in a keyhole, looking for more. And every time more expands to us, we close it. As it expands, we say, no, that can't be it. I don't believe that. That's not possible. When we're told that our bodies are magical healers, that our body can heal itself if we give it direction and permission to do so. No, that can't be it. I've been told all my life I have to go to a doctor. And I've been told all my life, if a doctor says that it's this and this and this, that must be correct. Well, if that's what you're telling your body, then your body's going to wait for you to take it to a doctor. But there are some people that have been raised all their life to say, talk to your body, give thanks to your body, be thankful and grateful to your body, talk to your body when it goes to sleep at night, And then we're being told all our lives to put those people down, put them in their place, because that's just pie in the sky kind of thing. And from that whole conversation, man, it was like she and he were having a conversation. He was talking about what he believed, and she was talking about, yeah, I know you believe that. She wasn't doubting he believed in a narrow or a limited view of what he believed. She was just telling them, open up your view if you want. It's just like, now I truly understand. There was a passage in the Bible that my mom used to read about when Jesus was healing the sick. And he healed this gentleman in a village, and he told the gentleman, don't go tell anyone, just go home. And I kind of would ask my mom, why did Jesus say that? And you know, she told me her version was that she said so that he could hold on to his healing. And you know, I don't know, I just would say, oh, okay. And now I understand it. Jesus told this young man, you know, yes, you're healed. Go home. Tell no one. Why? So no one could talk him out of his healing. Because Jesus didn't heal him. His will to want to be healed talked to his body. And Jesus just stood in agreement. Let it be so. And so it was. We are so used to, because people are saying, no, yeah, you know, Sandy, that's a little, you know, wishy-washy. You think your body can do this and you can do the holistic medicine and whatnot. I beg to differ. But that's what people will do. Now, you can either listen to them or you can stay your course. Don't get me wrong. I am so thankful and grateful that I had positive doctors helping me out. And for me to get to this point in my life to go, okay, I got the opportunity to have both. I don't think of doctors being in a lower polarity. It's in a polarity that saved my life because I wanted to be healed. I wanted to live. So I believe that the doctors came into my life at the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, and helping me overcome some things. While I was telling my body through the law of attraction that it could heal itself. Hi, Peter. Hi, Antonio. Right? But back to what I was talking about originally is you have the free will to not watch TV. It's perfectly okay. There are people who haven't had a TV in their home for 20 years because they don't like the vibration and this, and they think that the powers that be are listening to them. That's fine. That's your story. But you have been, and if you are a person that does not believe that God's going to talk to you inward, or that you can have voices going on or vibrations that turn into voices, and you know the divine can't talk to you from within, because if you hear voices, you're crazy or whatnot. How is the divine supposed to talk to you? How is the divine supposed to gift to you? Oh, I got it. The divine gets to talk to through all the beings, only human beings, and that's all. But if you're going and talking to a pastor or a minister or any of the other, and you're having this feeling that's not for your highest and greatest good, then what do? I'm not saying go watch TV. I'm saying you get quiet and you find out what's vibrating from within. Because sometimes it's just picking up a book that resonates with you. I've heard people say, well, I get it. I get everything I get. My downloads come straight from the divine. I don't do it in books and blah, 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 and that whatnot. So you down everybody that reads books. But to be able to have a book, the energy had to be there for the writer to have the intention to write, or to do music, or to paint. The divine is talking to us through every communicative portal that we have ever created. Why? Because in order to create that portal, the divine gave us the energy to do it. That is all energy wants, is to create for you. It is waiting for you either to verbally or mentally give it a command. Are you giving it a command? Are you finding out how the divine is talking to you? Yes, it can be from going to church every Sunday and listening to the pastor and taking notes, or the minister and taking notes, or taking sacrament. It can be however you ask the divine to speak to you through your intentions. So if you don't want to have a TV, doesn't mean you don't have to have a TV. If you listen to a lot of music, fine. If you want to separate music from into worldly music and Christian music, fine. Why? Because the divine says, your wish is my command. That's how you want to do it? Okay, that's how it's done. The divine is saying, I'm supporting you. Why? Because the divine is moving in, through, and as you to have an experience as, put your name behind it, Peter, Antonio, Crystal, Sandy. That just, when I listened to that particular scene, it just resonated with me that the divine is speaking with you. Sometimes it can just be you're in the supermarket and say hello to somebody, and somebody says hello, and then they say one word and it just wakes you up and you go, what? And then when you turn and look, that person's gone. But take in the word that made you go, what? Was it what you needed? I mean, I would be walking down the street when I was a kid, and I'd be really into thought. My mother could tell I was into thought because I would always look down when I was in thought, deep in thought. And I would do it when I'm walking or whatnot, and I would be so into thought that that sometimes I would not see where I'm going. I would just be in someplace else, right? And I remember one day I was in thought. I know it was like a weekend, because it wasn't like a school day or anything. And I was in thought, and I was sitting on the grass at home, and I was in thought, and I was looking down, and I heard somebody say, look up and smile every once in a while, right? I heard it, plain as day. And when I looked up, there wasn't anybody, there wasn't anyone. I don't know if they were in a car that passed by, or if they were riding a bike or whatnot. But from that time, every once in a while now, when I'm kind of in a thought, as growing up, I would look up, more often and smile. And I remember my mom, she caught me in thought, and she said, she says, Sandy, why does your head always go down when you think? And I told her, I don't know, I just do it. And then she says, I don't know, there might be purpose in that, but when you're walking, so that you don't walk into anyone, or that you don't have to get startled by anyone, start seeing if it's possible, and I love the way she said that, if you can walk with your head raised. Because it's not like I close my eyes when I walk, I just look down. So, and it's kind of, and her thing was, she says, you see more things. You take in more things when you're looking up, right? She wasn't trying to change me. She was giving me suggestions, but these suggestions were coming in even from the divine when it wasn't just me and my mom having a conversation. That's all I'm saying. Is sometimes the divine will have a conversation with you without it being sitting down and having a conversation. I don't know if that makes sense. You can let me know. I cry when I listen to you because hardly anyone understands this. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I love living life. I really do. It's I've gotten to this point right now going that understanding why I love it so much is because the truth of it is, from my perspective, is that we're not just spiritual beings. We're three in one. And each part of us gets to enjoy living. The spiritual gets to enjoy living through a form body, and the form gets to enjoy living and being part of a spiritual growth and expansion. And our mind certainly gets to be open and freed, unlimited. And you listen to people say, we barely use a fourth. We use less of a fourth of our potential of our mind. We're so very limited. But you know what? Get this. If you want to be limited, that's okay. Because that's choice. And that's your intention. Did you know that? If you intend to be limited, the divine will say, let it be so. We're going to have that experience. The divine is saying, I'm going to experience what limited is, because I only know the I that I am through the infinite, through the limitless. But boy, oh boy, somebody wants to intend to be limited. I'm going to do that. Let it be so. Nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. I will not be limited. Okay, so now say, Starseed, I am a limitless being. Take out the not. Take out the I will, because that's I will not. So what the universe is hearing is it's hearing I will be limited, or I will limited. So turn that around. What will you be? I will be limitless. I will tap into infinite possibilities. Morning, noon, and night. I will tap into infinite possibilities in every now moment. Right? Every now moment. Because you are your now moment. When I found that out, glory, hallelujah. That's all I got to say. I take it all the way back to my grandmother. I have to thank my great-grandma, or my great-great-grandmother, my great-grandmother, my grandmother, and my mother for having lived their stories and dropped a little DNA reminders of the story to come, and so I could have this story that I'm having, so that my higher being could take form and try something these lower dimensional polarities. Because my higher being came from a polarity where everything is endless. Everything is limitless. So it wanted to see what being claustrophobic is, in a sense, not being claustrophobic like somebody sticking you into a room, but not having your throat chakra being aligned. That's claustrophobic. That keeps you in a little box. Being uh, uh, for me being like I'm trying to think of the word, unbeknownst to life, what life is, being somebody using you, and you not knowing that you're used, but them telling you differently, right? Maybe my higher being wanted to find out what those felt like. Didn't mean I had to live in that. Didn't mean I had to, hide myself from feeling it, or keeping it trapped, or burying it. It's so freeing to to unveil all that energy around being naive and being a people pleaser, and whatnot. But that's what the higher being wanted to feel, was those lower energies. No matter what label we put on them, our higher beings came to feel something. It didn't put a time limit on it, but we as the body, or the physical, always put a time limit. Oh, I got to live this way for the rest of my life. Oh, I'm broken. Oh, I'm a sinner. Oh, I've got childhood traumas. I got this trauma. I got that trauma. Right? I am the trauma. I have the trauma. I got to live with the trauma. Whether the people that caused the trauma are alive or dead, we still got to live with that. That's the form part of us. The formless says, "Oh, done with that experience. Why are you holding on to that? Let's move on." Right? And then all that, while the divine is saying, well, you've asked for me to talk to you, and I've, you've asked for all these communicative things. You got Netflix, and you got Prime, and you got Hulu, and you got all these other different FX, and you got this. And why wouldn't you think I send you a message through a part in the show, and an episode? Or part of the dialogue. Why wouldn't you think I wouldn't send you a message in music? Why wouldn't you think I'd send you why would you think I'd limit myself to Christian music only? I didn't limit it when I gave it to you when you weren't awake. The divine gave it to you when you were clueless to the fact that you had a higher being. The divine was still working with you, working through you, at your request. Why? Because the divine didn't separate itself from you. It has always been there. The moment you said to maybe mother, father, sister, brother, or your pastor, who is God? God came on, the higher being woke up and said, "Ooh, they're asking about me." Right? Let me see how long I've been. Not that long. I expect it to be about an hour, getting close to that. Right? It's like, all I got to say is, life is good. And you go, oh, that's based on somebody else's perception. No, I'm telling you, through my perception, life is good. Even in my ups and downs, I am thankful and grateful that I am alive. Let's put it this way: not allowed to be alive, but alive to have an up and a down moment. Because through my up and my down moments, I am learning, I am growing, I am expanding, I am becoming, I am shifting, and I am evolving, and I'm doing that in triune. And I say triune a lot. Why? Because when I was growing up, triune was something that God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit only did. And you looked for God outside of you. that's part of the religiosity that I grew up in. So to find out, to turn within and go, I am the divine, in formless with my higher being, in form with my being, and in conscious mind with my mind that is in every cell of my body. I have a brain. That's my processor. That's my CPU. Come on. That's the CPU. Remember those big CPUs we used to have with the computers? And now they're an all-in-one? That's what we are, the all-in-one. Wow. I have an all-in-one. The CPU, my screen, is all-in-one. And it's touch. I use the mouse, but it's touch. You can just and put the energy, and you barely touch it. That's talking about energy, baby. We're all in one. The divine gave us a CPU. We call it our brain. We thought our brain was our mind, but you can still think it to be your mind, because a lot of people are still calling it your mind. But I call my brain my CPU because it files everything. It's all there. There's information there. And my CPU is connected to my spine. And my spine is connected. All those little connections go everywhere. And it taps right in to my cells. And in my cells are my mind. And my mind is regenerating. Cellular regeneration. Every now moment. And it really works well when you go to sleep. That's why they say sometimes when you fall asleep, try not to fall asleep with your TV on, because your subconscious is very active. Very active. So it's taking in new information all the time. That's why they suggest... some suggest putting on different hertz of music, right? Hertz of music. Some music, different hertz of music help with your cellular regeneration, or it helps with your sleep, or it helps. Some help brown noise for sleep. Yes, I've heard that as well, right? So every once in a while, I would fall asleep to the TV. I noticed, the dreams would be different depending on what I fell asleep listening to. So I don't do that anymore. I did it when I was a kid. When you're a kid, you just whatnot. But I decided that I did not want to fall asleep with other people's voices in my head, or in my mind. And then just take it one step further. I didn't want to have other people's voices in my cells, because come on, let's put it this way. Not that it's a bad thing. I'm not saying bad or good. I'm just saying. That's why they, after 12 a.m. in the morning on most TV shows, before Netflix and Prime was available on TV, just plain TV with regular channels, after 12 a.m. they'd start playing infomercials. And if you fell asleep with that, then you wonder why you want to go out and buy things. It's because if you're falling asleep, you're listening to other people put suggestions into your mind. Now, are they doing it on purpose? Some yes, some no. Some just, infomercials were the thing to sell your product, and that's what they did. Some yes, some no. Some knew exactly what they were doing. The people that started infomercials knew exactly where the vibratory vibration of that was going to go. Why? Because they wanted their infomercials that sell those spots to work. And the people that were buying advertising spots, that's what it was, advertising spots, wanted you, the consumer, to buy their product. What better way to buy your product is when you're asleep? Because they did a test that found out that most people, when they sleep, they fall asleep, they need something to sleep by. So most people fall asleep with TV on 24/7. Some 24/7 news. So think about it. If you fall asleep, if you watch news in the morning when you wake up, you come home to news, or you listen to news all day while you're working or whatnot. You listen to the news 2-hour drive home. You listen to the news while you might take a little break while you're having dinner with the family or whatnot. Shower, go to bed. You listen to a couple of different news programs, and then fall asleep with it on. And you're talking about blaming them programming you. You're the one making the choices to do it. You fall asleep with a horror movie on, you're the one making the choices to have the bad dream, if you call it a bad dream. If I fall asleep with a movie with unicorns on and I dream about unicorns, I did that. I fell asleep watching Rainbow Bright or whatnot with my kids. And we all had the same dream about Rainbow Bright. I'm just saying. It's about free will. And free will even in our sleep. We know we could get up and turn off. Before there was controllers, we could get up and turn off that TV anytime we wanted. We could do it before we went to sleep, but we just didn't choose to do it. We chose to just lie there and watch TV until we fell off to sleep, and then we fall off, and it'd still be going. And then in the morning, you wake up to a screen of snow. It would be a screen of snow. Now, instead of it doing that, if you left your TV on, it wouldn't be snow. You'd wake up to infomercials, because infomercials would play from any time after 12 to any time before 6. But we're responsible. We make those choices to do that. We make those choices to do that. We're all playing a role, and we get to decide when we don't want to play anymore in whatever on the playground, and we get to move to a different, we can decide to come in from the playground and do some other things. We can, coming in from playing the tetherball and going and sitting on another part of the playground where I want to take a book and read. I could do that. When I was going to school, we had areas for everything. We could even go inside of the building into the library and read during playtime if we wanted to. We didn't have to go out and play tetherball or soccer or baseball or basketball and those were a lot of the main things. Volleyball. A lot of the girls would play volleyball, right? So still even then, making decisions, making choices. Even as a child, we were making choices. And when we made the wrong choice, we learned to blame the choices on other people. Right. So, anyway, I'm not sure who's still with me. If you have a question for me, in the comments, go ahead and ask it. This is what Soul Talk with Sandy is. It's about, and it doesn't have to be anything spiritual, you know. Though I learned that as I grow and expand, the spiritual just becomes the isness of who I am. It's not it's not labeling, oh, this is spiritual, this is Christian, this is that, this is of the world, whatnot. This is just life. So let me know if you have any questions before I go. I know I kind of went over kind of different kinds of things, but it started this, for anybody coming in right now, this started with me watching a clip that was presented on YouTube, not YouTube, on Instagram of Dr. Strange and his conversation with the young lady, I call her just the guru or the goddess that he was talking to. I don't know. Well, I do know. Soul Talk with Sandy M is I just thought it would be anytime I just wanted to come on and have a chat. But the fact that I had been wondering myself, because I know this is truly divine from the divine, and I had been thinking about it. Now, see me, I don't go to church. I don't get up and actually go to church. So I know that there are many that are out there, but there are many who want to have a conversation, and some of them, some just want to have a conversation. It's not a spiritual, not a religious, just a conversation that that allows them to expand. And actually, you saying, is this an every Sunday kind of chill thing? I would like it to be. I just don't, I can't commit to a time. I like the way it feels getting on. I don't know. I think I came on about 9, and I really like it. I really like sitting in this tall chair. I finally got one of my chairs from my kitchen table, and my dog was outside on our balcony, and I just got out of the thought of everything being loud, the traffic being loud. I got out of the thought that there's a church service going on right across and they've got noise going on, and just went, I'm going to just have a chat. This was time spent beautifully for myself and my partner. Oh, I love that. So, you know, I think I'm gonna try it. I know I do my soul conversation. I do have my soul conversations with Sandra. I tried doing that, but I do want to let that be Soul Conversations with Sandra, the podcast, and let that be that part of it. Do you have any advice for a mother trying to stay? Do you have any advice for a mother trying to stay away from the father of her children who was violent and possessive of them? I would have to know more before I would suggest anything, because if you're in the midst of separation or divorce, or if you're in the midst of trying to find a safe space for you and your children, that would be my suggestion, is finding that safe space for you and your children to live and be comfortable in that safe space, in order to take the next step of how you would not be, how you don't want to be part of your husband's or the children's father in that life. I've been praying a lot and trying to protect myself spiritually. I left him and I don't want him to come here. Okay, So then you know about the law of attraction, right? So you've been doing things, you've been praying and protecting yourself spiritually. So maybe take it a step further. The law of attraction says what energy you focus on, that energy will come to you. So if you're focusing on the negative aspects of what will happen if you're in his presence, how about the positive aspects of you not being in his presence? Right? All the things that would be, all the growth that you would have, all the enjoyment that you have, of being just with you and your children, and not, think about all the positives. Do a positive spin on it, right? Because then that's the energy that you're going to attract, right? But at the same time, don't negate it being spiritual, that you have to pretend that you're happy. If you're not happy right now, you've got to experience it. You've got to release it, surrender it, let it go, and then who do you want to be in that next aspect of your growth as a single mom? As a single mom in a healthy space, as a single mom in a healthy space with children that are going to grow and develop healthy apart from your husband or significant other. Right? There's so many aspects of it. There's not just one way, but you can't fix him. Most of us are with people that we feel responsible because we can think I made this choice to be with this person, and because I made this choice to be with this person, I got to fix them so that I can be with this person, right? We're told that I know I grew up in an era that you made this choice, now you gotta, you made your bed, now you gotta lie in it, right? And you don't. That's the promise of the divine, that change keeps happening. So who do you want to be in your change? And how do you want to change it? Right? I say now, okay, right now when I'm looking at it, the best thing that ever happened to me, now that I can look at it, knowing me and my husband, we're a couple of months apart. We were both born in 1957. So when we got married, we were young. We knew nothing about life. We knew about the information that was downloaded into us by us. Little girls play with dolls and play with, we grow up to be wives and mothers, and he grows up to be the head of the household and plays with Tonka trucks and stuff. We grew up with this, and we had an intention. We knew we loved each other. We knew we wanted to be together. We knew we sat, and we always used to say we would have 4 kids, boy, girl, boy, girl. Back then, we didn't know anything about intention and the power of intention and creation and everything. We just did. So when he decided to leave, maybe he could have did it a better way, but he decided to leave. He was in the playground of being a husband and a father, and he didn't like it. It didn't feel good to him. It wasn't. He didn't feel it was for his greatest and highest good, and he made a choice. And when I sit here now, I can say that's the best choice he ever made. I went through some shit, but I not only survived, I thrived. And I look and I said, had one of us neither did that, where would we be now? And how would our kids be now? Would we be miserable? Keeping a story going that isn't for the highest and greatest good of either of us or our grown children, right? Let's see. Starseed says, we need to break generational traumas and curses. Okay? We need to rise up and become the cycle breakers. Now, I'm going to ask you, when you say that, how much trauma how much weight on your shoulders is that? If you're breaking it for generational traumas and curses, I know it's not for the generation behind, because they're, if they're still living, they need to break their own curses if they're still alive and part of your life. That's it. They need to go in and work on their life. The story that they put in your DNA, you need to work on that for you. That takes a whole lot of weight off your shoulders. When you're doing it for you and your immediate family, your children, right? Not your grown children. Like mine are grown. They're 40 years old. I had to take the weight off of me. And here's the thing is, while I was doing that, my children were watching me do that. And they got to mimic a lot. But now they've got to go work on what's on their shoulders in their DNA, the story in their DNA. Yeah, I might have dropped it in there, but they've got to work on it for them, because I'm alive to work on it for me. Now, if I was passed on, it would be all solely on their shoulders to work on it for them, so that their children, if their children are little, would grow up seeing and being and choosing differently. Or for my daughter, her daughter is grown. So now they're both working on what makes sense for their highest and greatest good. Right? I mean, take what resonates. Most people want to talk about the traumas and breaking through and breaking the generational curses and whatnot. That's a lot of weight on your shoulders, instead of just saying, I've got to do for me, for my highest and greatest good. And then hopefully that moves forward into the generational going forward. But you're not responsible for the generational going forward, because guess what? You could fix yourself. You could fix all of that, and your children still choose something that keeps them in a loop. Why? Because they have free will. Why? Because they could see all that you do or you've changed, and still want to stay committed to what they have, what they want to deal with, what they're, yeah, it's all about free will. Right? But for the you've got to decide what's for your highest and greatest good. What's for your highest and greatest good? I mean, certainly you can stay and do whatever you need to do with generational curses. Me, I don't believe it's a curse. I believe that your higher being, I'll put it in me, and then you can direct it for you or not. My higher being came here with choice. All that choice that it wanted to see, feel, and do, it put in my DNA through what you might want to call the Akashic records in my DNA of what it wants to remember, to see, feel, and be through the experiences in my body. The energies, higher energy, lower energy, it came here with the purpose. And the story with the other higher beings that said, okay, in order for Sandy, your foreign body, Sandy, to come into existence, I'll be her grandfather and grandmother, and you can even go back generations if you want, and her mother and her father, and we'll have life experiences so that you can experience separation. or you can experience being lost, or you can experience anxiety, whatever, right? We'll have these lives that will put a little of that DNA forward. Grandmother, forward into my mother's DNA, and my mother lives life and moves on. When my mother passed away, I believe that her Akashic records was no longer available for her to read, right? From her. Okay, maybe the Akashic records of the divine, yeah, you can go in there and get some information. But my mom left a residue, if you want to call it, or a story in my divine DNA. So when I came on the scene, my higher being got to experience that in my DNA. 90% of my DNA is for my higher being, my spiritual being. Right? Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But my higher being is having an experience through everything I'm learning, whether I'm learning it from the higher polarity or lower polarity. And guess what? Your higher being, whether you have an awakening at all, or whether you just live in the thought process of being just the body and just the mind, your higher being is having a vibrational knowing of itself. Without we talk about people got to wake up. No. Not all the time. They still have a light quotient that vibrates and supports Earth consciousness and her body and all of humanity. That light still shines within them. It's still vibrating. So we don't get to, as spiritual beings and spiritual collectives, to denounce I'm sorry, my phone is about to die, so I need to go plug it in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move and hold my phone to plug it in, so at least I can say goodbye to you. And hold on a second. I'm going to put it over here. Can you see me? So you can take what resonates and leave what the... I'm going to bend down for a second. I would have stayed where I was, but I don't believe that my cord will go that far. So I'll be right here. Is that okay? Is that working for you? Anyway, so... and you gotta hold on a second. My thing is, this one is kind of broken, so, but, anyway, so, what I was saying was that, for me, I don't believe in generational curses. That's just a title. I think the word curse really I think curses is a word that, for me, it comes from a lot of religious kind of things. I believe that the information that was downloaded into our DNA to bring us into this point for our higher beings to have choice. Our higher beings, I believe our higher beings have a choice of free will as well. We come from religion where we hear that angels and everything do the will of God. They have no free will of their own, that whole kind of thing, And yes, that's why I use quotations around it. Yeah, So me, I believe that every angel, every guardian, all our ancients they are are a part of the consciousness of the divine. They are higher beings that have chose to. Your ancients, they don't have to stay here and walk with you. They have that choice. They can choose to move on and have more incarnations. They don't even have to stay and have an incarnation as a human on Earth. They can have incarnations anywhere they want to go. There are some higher beings that get to choose between polarity, the negative polarity, and positive polarity. Positive polarity is just that you see service to the divine through everything, through service to all, and then you know service to that everything is being taken care of through you. Everything that is and is not is part of you. The lower polarity is that you get to stay in it, and the wants and desires of you are going to be maintained no matter who you walk over to get it. You talk about that a lot in governments and in big pharma, and they're so selfish than that. But they are higher beings that chose to feel that or chose to express it. And some throughout all of humanity keep coming back because that's what they want to feel. They like the essence of that experience. The raw materials talks about that a lot, and Aaron Abke, he's on Instagram, but he does a lot of workshops on YouTube about that, about our higher beings, and what free will choice they have. There are some that choose not to take human form, but they want to be part of the experience in 3D. So they take a form as our demons. You believe in ghosts, they'll be your ghost. The divine says that energy, which is the divineness of everything that is and is not, is waiting for you to give it charge. So in religion, they talk a lot about the devil. So a higher being became the devil. It'll be exactly what you want it to be. It's not fighting against God, though. The divine doesn't need anything to fight against. So guess what the devil, what that energy fights against? You. It fights against that energy that you give it power to fight against. You. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Right? But anyway, I'm at, what is 83:31. So what is that, an hour and a half, maybe? You know, I mean, I was blown away when I've got the book called I think it's called The Raw Material, right? And it's a channeled writing, and Raw channels through scientists, and what they do is, well, not just scientists, but trying to prove, scientists were trying to prove that there is something higher that is moving, and they wanted to connect with it. And the entity that is believed to be Ra, that higher being took on that name, Ra, right? Was explaining. It's only the divine explaining itself through an entity that would make sense to us as we're listening about the polarities moving. higher beings and how they're moving up the polarity to merge back with the divine. And some have never ever taken human form. Some took the form of earth consciousness as she was, her body was being formed. And some took consciousness and were the dinosaurs being formed. They took consciousness and they were the trees and the fauna and the plants and the flowers and the caterpillars and the ants and all the things that creepy crawlers in earth consciousness and on her plane. It's more than just the consciousness of body. Then we really truly begin to understand that earth consciousness is conscious. She has a body. We call that planet Earth or Earth plane. And our higher beings, my higher being is called Sandy, and told me that was always supposed to be my name. You take what resonates from that. You want to change your name to something else, that's fine. If the higher being told you that you were originally supposed to be called something else, and you want to call yourself that, then the divine says, let it be so. You can take whatever resonates. The divine is going to speak to us in many different forms about many different things. And you will, if you sit at the seat of your soul and say, well, who is translating this for me? Is it my divine self translating it, or is it my egoic self translating it? Some people don't want to do the work to do that. They'll just let it translate, and then when it translate, and then 10 years later they'll go, well, how come that doesn't make sense anymore? Well, if it's being translated by your ego mindset, ego doesn't like change. It likes going back into what it knows. What it knows is your past. Your information that's in your brain called the CPU. So if you're into reading, like I like reading, but I like connecting the dots. Not everything in the book is going to make sense to me, but then when the big dot comes, it goes, ooh, I just connected some of the information that I read from The Divine Design by Lori Ladd to the information that I was reading about the raw material, and I connected those dots, and shit, it makes sense to me. It makes spiritual sense. Oh, that's what the divine was trying to say to me, or trying to assist me in, right? Or listening to somebody else's website, or not website, but workshop or live, and then the way they say something is like, yes, that's how I was trying to relay a message, and that's the word that I'm missing, because that word wasn't in my repertoire of words, and that's okay. So back to the whole reason why I started this soul talk with Sandy today is because I was really listening to that one short clip of the movie Doctor Strange, where they were talking about having a narrow version or vision through the keyhole. That you were looking through the keyhole and looking for more, but always limiting yourself by the keyhole. And when information is being brought to you, you're limiting it by who is limiting it for you? Right? You've got two voices that are talking, yes. Your higher being, your egoic being, they're not enemies. They were created by the same oneness that is and that is not. But one sees through limit, and the other sees through limitless. You have to, you say, how do I discern it? Well, here's the thing. You've got feelings and you've got emotions. If you're running from your feelings and you're always running from your emotions and you're pushing them down and pushing them down and pushing them down and never dealing with anything, then you're not really having an expanded vision through that keyhole. You're stuck in the keyhole, in the actual keyhole. Because it's your ego and it's your higher being. And you're threefold. You just never been taught that you are. Because we've been taught, for some, that God is outside of us. The divine is outside of us. And that's okay if that's the way you want to live, because the divine says, let it be so. So if you want, like for me, I didn't want to be just a Baptist with a limited view. So of course I had to grow. Of course I had to expand. Of course I was going to leave people behind. Of course I was going to have family that didn't, while they were still being Baptist, I was being born again Christian. And then when I was leaving that, somebody was being a born again Christian, and I was being, opening up spiritually and going, okay, the divine is within me, growing, expanding. I'm triune, growing, expanding, right? Of course, I'm going to grow and I'm going to expand and I'm going to keep going. Will it upset some people? Maybe. Will it leave some people behind? Maybe. Will I still be growing, expanding, and evolving and shifting? Hell to the yes. Is that okay with me? Does it feel good? Do I feel good? Yes. My emotions through it, I'm happy and I'm joyful and yes. Okay, I'll stick with it. That's my confirmation. Doesn't have to be yours. Doesn't have to be your way, because the divine says infinite choices are there. Infinite ways to learn and to grow and to expand are there. Find which ones flow with you. One size just doesn't fit all. Right? So anyway, I thank you guys for being part of my reading room. I thank you for those who have come through. I saw a lot of people come through and they're going, oh, maybe this isn't for me, or the conversation is for me, or I don't really have time, I think I'll catch it in a replay. So be it. And I want to say thank you for joining me. And I close this energy. I close the energy of this session with 10845. I believe in, and I'm learning more about numerology and numerology and I'm just learning more. So 10845, I just closed this session. Everybody's energy, take your energy back. If it has a little wisdom and understanding with it, utilize it. You're the divine. You are. You're a divine God and goddess, if you want to separate yourself that way, or you're just divine energy. You're just divine energy. No separation. You just are. So create today. You were sitting here listening. Create. Alrighty. Thank you. And if you like this, tag it, show it to someone else. And if you want me to do it on Sundays more along this time, I'm certainly thinking about doing it. I'm glad you suggested it. And let me know. Alrighty. Talk to you later. Take care, Planet Soul. Who else is in here? Hold on. Planet Soul, Antonio Hartwell, and Luna Queen 21. Thank you so much for staying and listening. It will be in replay if there's anything that you miss. And share the replay with someone else. It is my divine, unconditional love for you to have a beautiful Sunday. Take care. Peace.